Thank you for taking the time to view this COMET tool training video. The COMET tools were developed at the Natural Resource Ecology Laboratory located at Colorado State University. The COMET tools were developed in collaboration and funding support from the Natural Resources Conservation Service and the Climate Change Program Office at the United States Department of Agriculture. My name is Matthew Sturmer. I am an agronomist and the Outreach and Education Specialist for the COMET tools. I will be guiding you through this video. This video focuses on the COMET-Farm Animal Agriculture module. I will walk you through using the demonstration project, which has been pre-populated with management scenarios. The demo project allows you to see what a completed project on COMET-Farm looks like. So to begin, you go to www.comet-farm.com. When you first enter the COMET-Farm homepage, you'll be welcomed by this greeting screen. At the top of the screen, we have a direct link to our training schedule. We also have a link to the USDA methods document located under greenhouse gas estimations. Clicking on that will take you directly to the electronic copy of the USDA methods document. Again, COMET-Farm is the practical application of the USDA's methods document. I recommend anyone that's going to be using the COMET-Farm tool to have access to the methods document. Other information you will find on the welcome screen will be updates and key features that have been added to the COMET-Farm tool. I recommend new users read through these points just to get an idea of what the COMET-Farm tool is capable of doing. Go ahead and close that. While using the COMET-Farm tool, I recommend using the navigation buttons provided within the tool. These navigation buttons can be found at the top right, along with these orange and white, blue when you hover over them, navigation buttons that will take you through the tool. Using the navigation buttons provided by the web browser can lead to data loss, so just use the navigation buttons provided within the COMET-Farm tool. What I'll do here is we'll go through the key features navigating through COMET-Farm, and then we'll get into our demonstration project. Currently, we're located on the home page. Clicking on the Tools tab will take you to the Sign-In screen. Those of you who do not have an account with COMET-Farm, I recommend clicking on the Register button. Following the 6 simple steps to creating an account, you'll receive an email from app.nrel@colostate.edu. Just follow those steps and you can create an account. The benefits of creating an account with COMET-Farm, it allows you to save your projects directly in the COMET-Farm tool. You do have the option to continue without registration. Using this option, you are unable to save projects within the COMET-Farm tool. Upon exiting the COMET-Farm homepage, any data that has not been saved will be purged upon exiting when using the continue without registration. So I encourage you to just sign up for an account. Clicking on the Infos tab will take you directly to the that greetings page again, where you can find our training schedule and also the link to the methods document. On the help page, you will find our PDF tutorials. Today we're going to cover the first few tutorials, navigating the COMET-Farm website, start using COMET-Farm, and demo and new projects, along with the animal agriculture tutorials. These tutorials were designed for users to work through the tool at their own pace, so you can download those and work through it at another time if you'd like to, or if you just need a refresher on a certain module. For users of Internet Explorer, we would encourage you to use the most updated version of Internet Explorer that you can. That would be Internet Explorer 11. COMET-Farm has been tested on various versions, but older versions, 6, 7, and 8, it has not been extensively tested. So to avoid any issues, just use the most updated Internet Explorer browser that you can. Today's demonstration is being done in Firefox. COMET-Farm works very well in Firefox. We also know that COMET-Farm works very well in Google Chrome. In the center of the help page, you'll find a link to our brochure. The brochure is a quick one-page summary for the COMET-Farm and COMET Planner tools. This is a great little document to have to provide to potential users of the tool, as it just defines what the COMET-Farm and COMET Planner tools can do for land managers and landowners. While using the COMET-Farm tool, if there are any questions, comments, concerns, problems that you're seeing with using the tool, please send those to app.nrel@colostate.edu, and we'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can to help resolve any problems. Go ahead and click on the Home tab to go back to the home page. At the bottom of the COMET-Farm homepage, we have a link to a couple of our frequently asked questions. I will highlight that information safety is important to us. We do follow the NRCS's PII. For more information on that privacy policy, click on the blue link located in Is My Information Safe? We'd also like to thank the NRCS and the USDA for their funding that's brought COMET-Farm to the public, along with Colorado State University. We also have accounts on Facebook, Google+, and Twitter. So if you have an account with any of these social media sites, I encourage you following or liking us. We do report a lot of our training schedules or updates with the COMET-Farm and COMET Planner tools. And we also like to hear what's going on in your area. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Tools tab to start using COMET-Farm. You can also click on Sign In or Start using COMET-Farm. All of these navigation options will take you directly to the actual COMET-Farm tool. Here you'll enter in the username that you set up when you register an account, and then enter your password. Click Sign In. When you first enter COMET-Farm, you'll begin on step 1, which is the activities. Within the activities page, you will select the category that you would like to, or the module you're going to be working within. On the far left, we have a projects list. Here's a list of all of the running projects that you'll have as you work through the tool. To the right, we have our Create Demo Projects link. This allows you to download completed projects so that you can see what a completed project within COMET-Farm would look like. In the center of the page, we have our categories list. You have the ability to evaluate any combination of the modules, or you can select all categories to run a full accounting for a specific site. While using COMET-Farm, you may see these blue question marks. The blue question marks just provide help and insight into information that we're looking for a particular management practice. If at any point while using COMET-Farm you do need additional help, you can click on these blue question marks and they should provide you with direction in completing management input. I'm going to go ahead and click on Create Demo Project, located just at the right of Select a Project in the Projects list. The new Projects list will open up with a list of all of the demonstration projects that are offered. I'm going to go ahead and click on Animal Agriculture and click Create. At this point, the tool is just populating all the management options for our demonstration project. As you can see, Animal Ag Demo Project was added to our projects list, along with Animal Agriculture was then selected within our categories section. Now we can move on by clicking Define Activities. When using the demonstration projects within COMET-Farm, you'll have these little blue help boxes that will pop up. They just are going to give you a little bit of information and feedback on what is going on with that particular management option. For the dairy demonstration for animal agriculture, we've selected the Cow Poly Dairy, located in San Luis Obispo, California. First step is selecting your property by entering in the zip code. You will then select the preferred units of measure from the drop-down menu. We've selected English for the demonstration project. I'll click on Save and Continue to move on to our Animal Types page. The animal types that we've selected for this demonstration, we have a total population of 350 animals. 180 of those animals are lactating cows. The remainder would be either dry cows, dairy heifer replacements, or calves. Go ahead and click OK. Animal types are broken out, as you can see, in each category. We have selected dairy heifer replacement, dairy lactating cows, and dairy dry cows. I'd like to point out that when entering information for other animal types, the management information that you'll see in today's demonstration will look different than it will for other animal categories. So I just want to point that out, that it may not look the exact same when inputting information for beef cows versus our dairy cows. After selecting your animal type, you move to the bottom and then click Save and Continue to move on to the animal characteristics. Again, we're just defining how this site is managed. Animals are housed in a freestall barn. 90% of the manure is deposited on concrete floors and then is flushed and scraped. There is the use of a liquid-solid separator. Solids are composted, and liquids are then stored in an anaerobic lagoon. Before we enter in animal characteristic information, I just want to kind of point out some key features while working through the tool to give you an idea of where you're at within inputting management information. At the top, we have our activities page, which is step 1. Currently, we're going to be working through step 2, which is the animal agriculture. And then step 3 will be the reports page. Within step 2, where we're currently working, we've already selected our property location, we've selected our animal types, and now we're going to enter all of our animal characteristics. On the far left, we have a list of the animal categories that we have selected. Dairy heifer replacements is the current category that we're going to be entering in information for. This is indicated by the green check mark and the circle. You'll also find the current category that you're entering information in at the top of this table, which is dairy heifer replacements. Just below animal characteristics, we have a list of the management practices that we're going to input information for. We'll start out with number of herds and move through until we finish with manure details. On the left, we have our scenarios list. This is where our conservation scenarios will be listed. We have our baseline scenario, which is our business as usual scenario, and then we'll look at the benefits of installing an anaerobic digester. So let's go ahead and begin entering in our animal characteristics options. Again, information here has been pre-populated, so we're just going to highlight what we've selected, and then I'll go through a few variations and why you would select those options. So first, you'll start off by entering in the number of herds. Number of herds will be entered in for 2 different reasons. The first would be if an animal category has multiple herds that receive different feed rations throughout the year. So for instance, if you have 2 dairy heifer replacement herds and they are each receiving different feed rations throughout the year, you would want to select 2 unique herds and then label each herd according to how they are defined by either the land manager or by the land owner. The other reason you would enter in multiple unique herds is if they are housed and manures managed differently for each animal type. For instance, if you have 1 dairy heifer replacement herd that is housed in freestall barns and the other is housed on a pasture, you'd want to select 2 unique herds because manure is managed differently for each of those herds. For the demonstration, we're only going to have our 1 unique herd, which we've labeled replacements. After you've selected all of your unique herds and labeled them, you can click Save and Continue to move on to animal details. Within the animal details page, you'll enter in the location the animals are housed. All of our animals are housed under a roofed facility, so we've entered in our population for January. We clicked on the little arrow to copy the values across all the months. Saves you from having to input animal populations for each month. At the bottom, you'll enter in average daily feed intake and average live body weight. Average daily feed intake values, if that value is not known, you can leave that 0, and then a default value will be used. We do encourage, though, when entering information into COMET-Farm, to enter in the most accurate information that's possible. In doing so, that will generate a report that is more representative of what's going on at that particular site. So upon completing your animal details, you can click Save and Continue to then move into the types of feed. The types of feed page has 3 steps. Here you'll be building your monthly feed rations for that particular animal category. Step 1, you'll select the months that a feed ration is fed. For the demonstration, we're going to feed the same ration all year, so we selected all of our months. You move to step 2, and then here's where you'll actually start to build that feed ration. I'd like to draw your attention to the categories page in the center. When I click on alfalfa, for instance, from their feedstuffs on the left, the categories for that feedstuff are then populated in that categories box. You'll then select the appropriate category that feedstuff is fed in. So we'll click on silage, for instance, and then you would click add. Clicking add will then add that feedstuff category to your selections. So essentially this is where you're building that feed ration for that particular animal category. After you've selected all the feedstuff categories that make up that ration, you can then click on confirm selections. That'll send that feed ration to the bottom to step 3. Well, then you'll define the percentages for each feedstuff category until the diet makes up 100%. Clicking on done, save feed types for current selected dates. A little box will open up and it'll say that all of that feedstuff category, that feed types, has been saved. I recommend going back to step 1 to make sure that on the right of each of the months within the date range box there is a yes under completed. This just indicates that there has been a feed ration saved for each month. When all of your months have a yes to the right, you can move to the bottom of the page and click on save and continue to move on to the housing details page. Within housing details, roofed facility is grayed out. We determined that when we entered in animal details. As I noted before, manure is flushed or scraped at this location, so we've selected flushed or scraped. And then you'll enter in the area of the barn floor that may potentially be covered with manure. Clicking save and continue will take us on to our manure systems types. Again, I noted that we are using a solid liquid separator, so we've selected yes. From the drop-down menu for the separator type, we've selected roller press. The primary solid treatment method that we've selected is composting, and our liquid is being treated in an anaerobic lagoon, runoff holding ponds, or storage tanks. Go ahead and click save and continue to move on to our manure system details. Composting is selected from the drop-down method. We've selected passive windrow, and the system cover type is uncovered without a crust. You'll have to enter in the exposed surface area of that anaerobic lagoon. We've clicked save and continue to then move on to manure details. The manure details page is broken up in 2 sections. The top is going to be the total dry manure produced per head per day for each of the months, and the bottom is going to be the percent nitrogen content of the manure for each month. These values that you see here are default values generated by COMET-Farm. We recommend using actual lab analysis to input this information. If that information is not available, you can use these default values. So at this point, we've completed all of our current management inputs for our dairy heifer replacements. I'll go ahead and click save and continue. Here we can then create another scenario to evaluate how applying a conservation practice or a change in management will have an impact on our greenhouse gas emissions. You can either start from scratch and create a brand new scenario, or you can copy management information from a completed scenario by clicking on copy management information from, selecting a scenario from the drop-down. We'll go ahead and click on baseline. This would then copy over all the information we just completed for our current management. You then label the scenario with whatever name you like to input. What we've done here is we've just entered in digester install so that we can copy over all that management information. This really does save you time and data input. You can just copy that management information over and then go in and alter that management practice you'd like to see the effects of. After you name your new scenario, you can click on create new scenario and then go into that project and change those management. Otherwise, you can click close to return to the last screen, which I'll go ahead and do Click close. And now I'll click directly on our digester install scenario from our scenarios list, just located below our baseline. For the demonstration, what we've done here is we've kept our management practices completely the same, but now we're implementing the use of an anaerobic digester to treat all of our liquid manure. Go ahead and click OK. What I'll do here is we'll just step through the management practices, and I'll highlight what is the same and what has changed. Again, we have the same number of unique herds, so I'll click Save and Continue to move on. As you can see, our animal details are the same housing, same population, animal daily feed intake, and average live body weight is the same as well. Click Save and Continue to move on to types of feed. Again, we're using the same feed ration as we used in the baseline scenario, but this would be a potential option for you to evaluate how changes in feed rations can reduce enteric emissions. Go ahead and click Save and Continue to move on to our housing details. Housing details are the same as they were in the baseline. Click Save and Continue to then advance on to manure system types. We're still going to be using a solid liquid separator. We're still going to use that roller press. Primary solid treatment is composting, but now with our liquid treatment, we've selected anaerobic digester with biogas utilization or methane capture. Click Save and Continue. Here we're still going to select our passive windrow for our composting method, but now for our anaerobic digester, we've selected a UASB type with floating gas holders, no external water seal. Click Save and Continue. And our manure details, those are still the same as they were in the baseline scenario. I'll click Save and Continue. Again, we give you the option to create another future scenario. You can have up to 10 scenarios to evaluate different management practices for each project. I'm going to click on Continue to Report so we can take a look at a completed report within COMET-Farm. There are two methods of reporting information on COMET-Farm. The first is this tabular screen. We'll go through that first. The other is looking at them graphically. When looking at a tabular report on COMET-Farm, you'll find on the far left, we'll have our sources of emissions. These are going to be labeled and listed out based on animal types. Below the animal type is going to be the source category for the emission. You're going to report methane and nitrous oxide. Double-clicking on the source category expands to the subsource categories for those emissions. For methane, we can have these broken out into enteric emissions, housing, barn housing, composting, anaerobic lagoon, and anaerobic digester. Values for COMET-Farm are reported in two methods. They're either reported as a positive value, as you can see here, and in red, that's indicating that there's an increase in emission. A negative green value indicates that there is either a sequestration event or a reduction in emissions. So for instance, here you can see that there's actually a reduction in methane from that conversion from that anaerobic lagoon into the anaerobic digester. I would like to point out that the values that you see here are not representative of values you would see from the field scale. The method that is being implemented to produce these values is currently under review. So I would recommend upon when we complete that review process, we will then post that new method and then the values will be more representative of what's going on. But for now, I would like to highlight that the methane that is generated and then is captured utilizing the anaerobic digester that we've selected is normally then used to fuel microturbines to then generate electricity that can either be put back into the grid or utilized on site. So you're also going to see increases in methane emissions as far as efficiencies from anaerobic digesters because they really are producing more methane by breaking down that liquid manure. The emissions that you'll see with an anaerobic digester are related to that methane actually, some portion of it leaking out. So you will have an emissions associated with anaerobic digesters. This particular value, don't get hung up on that. Like I said, that method is being under review. I'd also like to point out there's these calculators located to the right of each of the subcategories. These are going to provide equations on how that value was calculated. You can take the equation 5.1, go to the methods document, locate that equation, and then see exactly what the necessary inputs were and the method that was used to determine that value. So again, COMET-Farm is that practical application of the USDA methods document. We'll go ahead and minimize our methane, and I'll double click on nitrous oxide. I'd like to point out that when a shared lagoon is used for multiple animal types, nitrous oxide emissions are going to be reported within the first animal category. So if there was a nitrous oxide emissions related to this scenario, we would see that value reported here under dairy heifer replacements. I'll point that out also if you were to click on, for instance, lactating cows, the nitrous oxide. You'll see this blue bar, and again that just reiterates the shared lagoon emissions are reported under the first selected animal category. The other method at looking at these reports is clicking on Animal Agriculture Graphical Report. Then you're able to select a specific animal type, and then we have this interactive graph that compares the baseline to the future scenarios. Again, if we had other future scenarios, you would see those off to the right. You can click directly on an emission, and then that will break down the sub-source category for that particular emission. This information can be copied and downloaded by clicking on the three bars located at the top of the graph. You can download that image any way that would best suit your needs. This information can also be printed directly from the page by clicking on the Print tab. So we'll go ahead and head back to the home page here. And I'll show you a quick trick that you can use when you want to look back at a report. So for instance, you've entered in all of your information, you've completed a report, and then you want to show it to a landowner or a land manager a couple weeks down the road or maybe even a year later. You return to COMET-Farm, just click sign in. You would sign in using your username and your password. On the top right though, sometimes even though you are already logged in, it'll ask you to log in. If your name and the current project that you are working on is listed at the top right, just click on that current project in blue and it'll take you directly to the activities page. You can then select any of the activities that you would like to, or projects you'd like to evaluate. So we'll click back on Animal Ag Demo Project, click Define Activities. And instead of having to go through each management option, this time we can click directly on the Step 3 report. And that'll take you directly back to a completed report so that you can either print it or share it with whomever you'd like. So that concludes today's training on COMET-Farm Animal Agriculture. I want to thank everyone for being part of today's training. Again, while using the COMET-Farm tool, if you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, please send those to us at app@nrel@colostate.edu. And again, thank you for your time. I appreciate you attending today's training, and I look forward to seeing you on future training.